Hearing the words Rotary Baby really struck a bell, because that's what I've been hearing all along. Every year I have spent my birthday with the Rotary, cutting a cake. So it's really wonderful. So it's like a homecoming for me. And like he said, my father is a Rotary loyalist and a 100%er. So I've really grown up being part of this wonderful fraternity. I'd really like to thank Shekhar Bhai for inviting me to this Rotary Summit and offering this platform to me to address a very pressing issue which is very close to my heart, and that of mental health awareness. You'd be wondering that what is the connect between mental health awareness and education and literacy? Well, it is a very integral component of education, because it is about learning the importance of mental well-being, without which the child really keeps grappling with various situations in his life. So therefore it is very closely linked to the development of children. So the video is just conveys different perceptions that people have about different mental health illnesses like anxiety, panic, depression, bipolar, schizophrenia. So our aim is to actually shift perceptions related to mental health at Empower, which is an initiative that champions mental health causes. We realize that the task that we have undertaken is very challenging and very daunting, but it's truly very fulfilling and gratifying too. And what we have set out to do through Empower is to bring about a cultural shift in the way people think about, talk about, and act upon concerns and issues related to mental health. In our society, mental health has long been on the peripheries of our collective awareness. Lack of knowledge, misconceptions, and stigma have buried this topic even deeper. And today we face some grave realities when it comes to mental health of our population. Just to share a few stats with you, about 50 million people in our country suffer from a mental or a neurological illness. 40% of suicide deaths in men and 56% of suicide deaths in women occurs between the ages of 15 to 29 years. A study published in 2014 shows that 23.3% of school-going children and adolescents live with a mental health concern. But the sad part is that there are only 0.3 psychiatrists available per 100,000 people, pointing to a huge treatment gap in our country. A World Mental Health Survey published in 2014 reported that 99% of Indians with a serious mental health concern did not even perceive the need for a cure. This glaring seriousness of the situation makes it really hard to overlook. And what it really tells us is that a significant proportion of population continue to suffer from various debilitating mental health concerns, but only a very small percentage actually seek help. What you see is that a physical condition warrants immediate action. You immediately go to the doctor and you seek help and you seek cure. But on the other hand, a mental health concern is followed only by shame and denial, hesitation to seek help. Most of the times, one doesn't even acknowledge it, leave alone mention it to anybody else. Now, isn't that true with probably most of us here? Why is it? Why is it that people openly accept and seek help for a physical illness like, say, diabetes, but not a mental illness, not a mental one like, say, depression? Both are the result of a physiological imbalance in the body. In the former, in diabetes, there is a disequilibrium of the insulin hormone. And in the latter, there is an imbalance of certain neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. So both are physiological. But why is there non-acceptance only for the mental one? So the reasons for the discrepancy may be very hard to excavate in this given time frame. But there is one major contributing factor that I'd like to touch upon, and that is stigma. The stigma to mental health is huge. It's a process of stereotyping in which a person is labeled and linked to undesirable, untrue characteristics, which essentially separates them from us, and which is then used as a rationale to discriminate against them. Stigma associated with mental health stems from a lack of awareness regarding mental health issues and resulting misconceptions which then percolate deep into the mindset of people. And these misconceptions lead to harmful attitudes, perceptions, and myths, shrouding mental health in a cover of darkness. So why should we talk about stigma and how relevant is it? It perpetuates a vicious cycle which only distances and isolates individuals from leading meaningful and productive lives. Let me share a story of you with a 29-year-old Mahesh, for example. Mahesh lived with his parents in a middle-class locality of Bombay, successful job with growing professional potential and a loving family. Unfortunately, his early symptoms of schizophrenia emerged around the age of 26 and advanced really rapidly. Withdrawal from friends and family, diminished interest in work and other activities, severe paranoia, and a total disconnect from reality. Finally, one day he told his mother that the CBI has bugged their home. He had a total disconnect with reality. It wasn't long before people in the community began to indulge in absolutely meaningless chatter. He was labeled mad. He was labeled lunatic. People started saying he's got a split personality. They started labeling Mahesh and discriminating against him. They avoided him. They avoided his family. And obviously this led to perpetuating stigma. His mother, his parents refused to take him to see a doctor for the mind because she was scared. She was scared it would add further fuel to the fire and cause people to further talk about their family and further distance them. Mahesh's family kept delaying his treatment and his condition progressed and worsened. By the time they came to our foundation, our medical professionals concluded that Mahesh's mental condition was really bad. The outcome would have been better had the family approached us earlier. Unfortunately, stigma leads to even more severe outcomes, gravely affecting the person as well as the family. Let me share another story with you of Amit, student in the second year of engineering college. His family was really proud of him and they gathered all their resources to send him to Mumbai in order to attain his best education. When he entered second year of college, he began feeling very low and very stressed out. Initially, what started with normal bouts of feeling stressed became worse. He started skipping meals, sleep disturbances, lost his motivation, his grades started declining. When he confided in a classmate, the classmate only told him that he needs to become stronger and that silly thoughts should not take him away from his motivation and his dream of becoming an engineer. As it worsened, his symptoms worsened, Amit even spoke to a professor who basically told him the same thing in different words. Stop using your mood as an excuse to evade responsibility for your bad grades. Amit, of course, managed to become an engineer. He really pulled through, but at what cost? He attempted suicide 3 times, lost the total will to live. Lack of support and understanding alienated Amit. His early signs of depression could have been treated, if not for the misconceptions harbored by his friends, his professors, by he himself. There was total lack of awareness. Amit is now seeking treatment at the foundation, at our center. But his story brings attention to the fact that India accounts for 1/3 of all global suicides, and that's a huge number. The country's suicide rate, 21 suicides per 100,000 people, is almost twice the world average. These stories underscore the role that stigma plays in breeding misconceptions, delaying treatment, and making people feel that their illness is a permanent impediment and something to be ashamed of. We have really progressed as a country and have proved our caliber in various arenas, but the same unfortunately cannot be said about the state of mental health here. Stigma remains to be one of the biggest barriers in achieving a society where every individual feels free to openly talk about their emotional and psychological concerns and seek help without the fear of being judged. So, how can we overcome this barrier? I go back to my aim of shifting perceptions, a task that must be undertaken by our society as a whole. Awareness initiatives must be launched to increase mental health literacy and improve access to treatment. Such awareness initiatives also sensitize people in order to foster an accepting and non-judgmental environment. Through our movement and outreach efforts, we aim to involve various communities in our awareness and education initiatives. Just to name a few, we have a school and college assistance program which involves parents, teachers and students to increase mental health literacy. Our employee assistance program aims to do the same by offering wellness workshops and on-location counseling services in the corporate setting. As a part of our efforts to expand our outreach and integrate the underserved sections of society, we also conduct outreach work through Empower the Foundation, which has very recently collaborated with the Tata Memorial Hospital to offer psychological support to children and families in the pediatric oncology ward. In addition, we have hosted free and paid workshops facilitated by mental health professionals on specialized topics within mental health and psychology, because we do believe that ensuring better quality of treatment, including training of mental health professionals to be more sensitive, will go a long way in encouraging people to seek treatment. We do various initiatives like the Ride to Empower, which is an annual cycle ride offering a single platform to individuals to unify and give strength to the voice against stigma. Last year was our first edition. We had close to 1,000 people participating. This year, which is at the end of the month, we're hoping to reach out to at least 2,000 more people. We tend to oversee one aspect of our health over the other, not realizing that physical health and mental health are both interlinked. An imbalance in physical health can both be a result or a causational factor for an imbalance in mental health and vice versa. Hence, it is imperative to work on both aspects. We strongly believe that the awareness and treatment are integrally interlinked in our pursuit to provide quality treatment to all sections of society. And therefore, we set up Empower the Center and Empower the Foundation, the treatment arms of Empower, which offer integrated, multidisciplinary, psychological and psychiatric services to children, young people and their families. Empower the Center, since its inception in May last year, has successfully provided 1,500 services to over 300 families, and Empower the Foundation, which was just launched in December last year, has provided close to about 100 services to about 50 families. As we continue to learn and grow in our journey, our goals become bigger. There is a lot to be done. And as we continue in our pursuits, I encourage you to do your part by joining our movement, by making a change in your own capacity. Ask yourself, how am I partaking in the perpetuating of stigma? Am I forming assumptions in my mind about individuals with mental health concerns? Am I denying myself the chance to visit a counselor when I have been feeling low? Am I reaching out to someone I think who may be going through a difficult time? We all want someone to listen to us without being judged. I believe loneliness is the worst illness and love is the only cure. There's a beautiful poem that I have that I'd like to share with you. Loving our children in a real way. Loving my daughter comes so easily when she wins a competition, gets high marks, listens to me, keeps her room clean, finishes her food, pays attention while studying, sleeps on time, never raises her voice, and practices dance, singing, drawing without me reminding her. That's the easy way to love. However, when I look back at my childhood, I realize that the moments I really wanted love badly were when I scored less marks, failed in a competition, couldn't sleep, didn't feel like studying, wanted to laze around, didn't finish the tiffin, didn't complete my homework, forgot an important assignment, fought with a friend, had a heartbreak, felt guilty, felt lonely. These were the moments when I needed my parents the most. I needed their assurance that it is okay to be human, to fall, to get hurt. And what I wanted to listen in those moments was, I know it hurts, but I'm here with you. Maybe we can't do anything about what happened, but I'm here with you and I love you for what you are always. This is real and unconditional way to love. Yes, I wanted to hear, I love you, loud and clear. It was the only thing that could heal my heart, love. It's the moments when we lose control of ourselves that we want someone to hold us, isn't it? You don't need to be perfect, just be real. So do you choose love the easy way or the real unconditional way? Today, no matter what your child does, choose love and see how it heals you as a parent. I would urge us all, as a parent, as a friend, as a teacher, as a brother or a sister, choose to unconditionally love and accept those around you rather than label and judge. This is how you can do your part to fight stigma. My dream is that my children and yours are able to address depression with the same effortlessness they are able to address diabetes. My dream is that we can be as proactive about remedying a broken spirit as we are remedying broken limbs. Ignorance, apathy, and actively breed stigma, forming that impermeable fence around it. Today is the day, now is the moment. Look inward and look around you. Become more aware and resolve to play your part to stamp out stigma. Let us all aim to shift perceptions, but first, let's start with ours. Thank you.